Good morning, everyone. I think it's time for us to get started. So I would like to officially call us to order, and if we could please get roll call.
Michael Biddle.
Yes, ma'am.
Crystal Gibson.
Here.
Rusty Goddard.
Here.
Stephen Goodpaster. Marcus Hilliard.
Here.
Catherine Ogrode. Carletta Randall Smelser. Debbie Stafford.
Here.
Byron Wood.
Here.
Damon Rawls. Marcus Kennedy. Greg Stennett. You have 6 members present.
So that's enough for a quorum, correct? Yes. Okay. So we will go ahead and get started. As we know, we're all here for a special session to discuss Commissioner Frazier's request that we reorganize, we review our ethics policy, and present any recommendations or changes that we would like to do. I see Commissioner Frazier is here. Would you like to address our committee, or are you just here to observe? Okay. You're very welcome. So this is uncharted territory for me. So I went and looked online, some information about what the process should be. I actually asked AI, what should we do? How do we go about doing this? And I got some really good information, and I would like to briefly read you what it says. First, define the scope and objectives, which I think the resolution has pretty much done. 2 is assemble a competent team, and that's what I would like to do next while we're here. 3 is conduct a comprehensive review. 4 is engage stakeholders and public. 5 is draft proposed updates. 6 is review and refine the draft. And then finally, secure approval and adoption and implementation. And I feel like the approval, implementation, and beyond falls mostly to the county commission because they're the ones that have to adopt and approve anything. So at this time, what I think would be a good idea is to assemble a subcommittee to kind of be in charge of the review. And I would like to ask if anyone would like to submit themselves to be in charge of that review. I know I've had several people express an interest. Everything we do has to be public. It has to be here. So I'd like for us to have that discussion publicly. And I'll open the floor to anyone that would like to speak. Yes, sir.
I'd be happy to submit my name to be helpful in this endeavor
Okay.
as chair or whatever you need.
Thank you.
And I would add something to that list before I forget.
Okay, what's that?
Are there other examples out there of other ethics policies and procedures that we could parallel and look at?
Okay. Well, thank you for that. Would anyone else like to submit their name?
What does that look like? What is the subcommittee going to look like?
I don't really know at this point. That's one of the things we have to figure out. But I think essentially, because everything we do has to be public, it has to be open. So what I suggest, and I would like for Mr. Sanders here to give us the legal advice on whether or not what I'm suggesting is appropriate, because we always want to follow the rules. But essentially, I think there needs to be a subcommittee get together to go through the current ethics rules and then recommend changes to that. Does that sound appropriate to you, Mr. Sanders?
I see no problem offhand with developing a subcommittee as long as the subcommittee understands that it also is subject to open meetings law and would have to publicly announce its meetings, conduct all its deliberations in public, and follow all the other rules of public meetings law. So, no, I don't see any procedural reason why you can't have a subcommittee.
Okay. So with that, I would have an expectation for the person heading it up to compile the current ethics rules, any recommended changes, you all discuss it. And then the other thing I would like to do is have some public meetings around the county. One of my thoughts was, what if some of us could each volunteer to take a different part of the county, north, south, east, and west? I was thinking we could reserve a room at the public library. It would have to be announced as part of the public meetings, but get some what am I trying to say?
Feedback from residents, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, being involved in restructuring of rules, like I was involved with the Merit Council, it's a very, very, very exhaustive effort, which I don't mind to throw my name in the hat either. It's just with all the rules in the open meetings, I understand that, but we have, I'm just trying to look at the logistics of it and try to figure out how we were going to do that. Like, is it going to be here? Is it possible to meet other places besides here and still be in compliance with the rules?
If I can address a couple of those issues, because you do raise some good issues. There is a logistical issue in that we have support staff for this committee that would presumably need to travel with someone who's trying to hold these satellite meetings, and somebody's got to pay them. Somebody's got to fund their time and their travel. And I don't believe this committee has much of a budget. You may be able to address that with commission and get a budget to do that. But somehow the accounts have to balance. Okay. That's just a logistical issue. It's not a legal issue. Unless you don't pay them, then it becomes a legal issue.
Yeah.
The legal issue does revolve around open meetings. There are, first of all, if more than one member holds a listening forum, it can be done, but it has to be done darn carefully, because you can't deliberate while you're there, and you can't deliberate through a third person. That is, if somebody calls out from the audience, well, I think you ought to do X, and the first member says, I think that's a great idea, and the second member says, well, I think that's a terrible idea, and they start discussing it there. Or both of them say it's a great idea, and they start discussing how it might get done. You're in a deliberation. And although it's public, it kind of violates the spirit of the open meetings law, because not everybody's at this meeting, right? If you're in Coreyton, probably people in Farragut are not going to be there. And if you're in Farragut, probably people in Coreyton aren't going to be there. It would be far better to only have one person there, so you don't run the risk of having this deliberation in public, or frankly, just do your meetings here and publicly announce them, allow people to come downtown. I mean, that's, after all, what every other body does, right? We have meetings here, we publicly announce them. Anybody who wants to attend live comes down and attends. And you can set up a public forum as part of your ethics committee for people to speak to you. You can, in fact, you really should. You don't have public forum rules in your agenda right now. I have talked privately with a few folks. One issue that you face right now is accessibility. You all have private email addresses that you submit to the county, and the county sends your communication out on. A member of the press recently asked for your email contact information. We can't give that out because those are private email addresses as public records. We have been talking about a way to set up some sort of link so that someone can submit a suggestion to the committee and it gets distributed to you all. Anyway, that would be a way to further public participation with an input without violating your rights to have your own personal email addresses private. And it would give the public a way to have input. Generally, the answer is yes, you can do the satellite meetings as long as you're really, really careful about how you do it. But logistically, it's going to be a headache, and it'd be far easier to do it here.
Okay.
So I do think that kind of goes into a little bit of some of the things that I had questions on. I think that a subcommittee is a fantastic idea. I think that makes the most sense for us with this meeting. But I kind of feel like we need to reach out to other committees and organizations in order to help get the word out. And I mean, this is much further along in the process. I think that it makes the most sense to have the subcommittee together, have them kind of decide this is the direction that makes sense for this proposal. And then whenever we get everything structured, that's whenever we need to start reaching out to the public. But since we can't do that as a committee, it might make more sense to reach out to organizations that are already there, such as the Chamber of Commerce, and, government entities that most people would be looking towards for information like this anyway. I actually put together a little draft, and I have a online survey feedback form that I've created. This is just a template. This is not something that we have to use by any means, but I figured if we got something together, it's something that we can edit and make better later anyway. But, as far as reaching out to, city council and looking for better avenues to connect with the public, we can delegate that. So rather than this committee or subcommittee doing satellites, we could have those people delegating, hey, this is what we're looking at in order to change. What is the feedback that you guys are getting, and how do we better engage with the public? For example, the email. If the public is trying to get a hold of us and they can't get a hold of us because we don't even have an email for them to reach out to, that's an issue. But that's good feedback that we can take moving forward. So I'd like to submit this for the record as a public engagement online survey feedback form.
Thank you very much for that. Do you have any comment, David?
I do, and Ms. O'Rod, I don't want to, I'm sorry to put you on report here, but I think it's important just to establish the record that this was submitted in a email among all the members by Ms. O'Rod. Madam Chair flagged that as a potential issue that needed to be discussed directly in public, and she was absolutely right with that. That would have been a violation of the Open Meetings Act had any deliberation occurred within the email chain. I did not see any. I was copied on those emails, and I put a stop to it and said that we have to conduct all further deliberations in public. And the reason I'm saying all this is you can cure a violation of the Open Meetings Act by re-debating it in public and making everything public that occurred. So that's what I'm trying to do here. And so you all can discuss this now to your heart's content, to distribute the materials that Ms. O'Grod gave to you and deliberate it here.
Okay. Well, what I would like to do first is vote in someone to head up the subcommittee, and then I would kind of like to turn it over to that person. Yes, sir, Mr. Rawls.
I've just had a suggestion. Well, it was a suggestion and a question.
Okay.
And Mr. Sanders, you can jump in if for a commission, we have a portal that's public facing that if we have comments or questions for each other, we put them in there. And we can have discourse there. And then it's in the public view. Is it possible for IT? I mean, maybe we can look into IT giving us a short-term portal for the extent of this time while we work through this. And then the subcommittee could be in that portal, working through the schedule questions. And if we've got questions, we can be in there, state what we have to state. Then it's all public record. There is no private sunshine law issue. And then maybe they take us down and put the notes, like take that portal down and then put the notes up somewhere else, like in our records.
Right.
So that people see that these conversations happen during the time of reconstructing these rules.
I think that's an excellent idea. Is there a possibility we could get such a portal?
So, Madam Chair, let me address this in two ways. One, I'm not the IT department. I don't know what is and is not possible. I suspect it is. But you'll have to go to IT for that. And I might suggest you put Mr. Kennedy on your committee as a liaison to that issue.
I think I just got voluntold. So.
But having said that, let me check on the legality of that. I know a commission does that, and it's a great idea. What I can't remember if there's a specific authorization in the law that allows commission to do that, or whether it's applicable to any entity, because I don't think the school board does it, and I'm not aware of any other entity in Knox County that does that besides the commission. So I want to make sure there's not a special authorization for county legislatures and no one else. But I just don't know that answer off the top
Okay.
of my head.
Well,
But it's a
thank you for
terrific
that.
idea other than that.
Yes, I think it's an excellent idea because the open meetings rule, while I understand the spirit and the intent of it, it does tie our hands significantly to be able to get work done. I know for me, myself, I work 60 hours a week. So being able to throw 20 or 10 hours a week into this is expecting a lot from me. And I'm sure that others of you here have similar obligations because this is volunteer only. So what I would like to do is open the floor. Would anyone like to nominate Mr. Biddle for heading up the reorganization?
I'll nominate.
I'll second.
We also had Ms. Algrod, correct, who had,
No,
no, okay. All right,
because I'm rolling off at the
Okay.
end of, October.
that's what I was thinking,
yeah,
so,
no.
all right. So having a second, all those in favor of having Mike Biddle head up the reorganization, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed? The ayes have it. Mr. Biddle is now in charge of the reorganization. Whew. And with that, I would like to move to Mr. Biddle to discuss further, if you would like to do that.
All right, thank you, Madam Chairwoman. First of all, I would like to appoint or have somebody volunteer to be a vice chair because we do need, and is that appropriate, Mr. Sanders? I want to see.
I think it's your committee. I think it's your committee.
Okay,
And I think if you want to establish a vice chair, that's fine.
wonderful. That
That's
would be-
probably a vote for your own committee. It's not really, well, I don't know exactly how that would work. Maybe the commission, maybe the body ought to appoint the committee and then you can hold a meeting of your committee to appoint its own
Wonderful,
vice chair
wonderfully
and whatever
done.
else.
Who else would like to join the subcommittee?
Let's just talk about realistically.
Okay.
How many people do we need on this subcommittee?
So I'm of the philosophy, the more people you get on the committee, the more different perspectives you get. You also get a lot less done. You know what I mean? The
I
more
agree.
people involved,
Yeah.
the more it slows things down. So I would say a minimum of 3 and maybe a maximum of 5 or 6. Does that sound realistic?
Definitely an odd number
An odd number, so that way.
for
Okay.
voting purposes, absolutely. And I think 5 to 7 would be, 5 or 7 would be great.
Yeah, at least.
Yeah.
I would say at least 5. And I agree, the more you get, the easier yet harder it goes.
100%.
But if you only have 1 or 2, it's already going to be an exhaustive process.
Yeah.
But just 1 or 2 people doing all the legwork, it's like a Baptist church. You know, you got 90%.
I'm familiar with those.
10% doing the 9.
Yeah. So I was just curious.
No, and the thing is, for those that want to serve on the committee, this, to me, is not going to be exhaustive. And the reason I say that is, this excites me to no end. And I think there's a lot of opportunity to fill some holes in here, to have the committee be fully involved and engaged, and I think, more importantly, the public to be engaged. So I think we're going to be able to move the ball here in a fun way, and I think that we're going to be able to come to a conclusion here in short order, hopefully in the 6-month period that the commissioner would like to have. That is going to take, though, a lot of talents, and that's going to take a lot of partnership with people in the county as well. So, meaning, I'm saying in this building. So I think it's going to be fun. I think we could do a lot of good, and I think we could actually set an example of how committees could go forward.
Madam Chair, if I could just interject one issue, just real quick. It was pointed out to me, and I will be honest, I don't have an answer for you right now, but it's pointed out to me that not everybody on this committee is a voting member. Some are non-voting members, and I don't know whether non-voting members who are appointed to a subcommittee can vote in the subcommittee. So you may, Mr. Biddle.
Wonderful point, because not only that, does everybody on the committee have to be a member of this ethics committee?
Another good question.
I would lean that way
Yeah.
regardless, but I just wanted to make sure we could answer the question.
I would think they would need to be on this committee, not that other people couldn't have impact and input. But from my perspective, having the non-voting members be a part of it is still an important thing because they can offer input as well, like they do on here. So maybe we don't count them as part of the voting, but they're still welcome to join the subcommittee if they so desire.
I think anybody in this room, in front of this podium, and except for Commissioner Rawls, who's either shaking his head because he loves me, or he's shaking his head because he can't do it.
So you're
There
saying
you go.
Commissioner Rawls
All
is
right.
heading up the non-voting committee.
All right, so right now, we're just like pegging people off here. So that puts us down to 7 other potential people, 8 potential people in the room.
Well, and I don't want to speak for Mr. Goodpaster because he's not here. I don't want to speak for him, but I do know that he's very interested in this. So I would like to go ahead and suggest that him and Byron both be on this subcommittee. I'm going to throw you under the bus, Byron.
We see each other way too much. All right.
Okay. So y'all can have committee parties.
And I have a feeling somebody else might be interested.
Yeah,
And she's wearing red, but I'm not going to say exactly who that person is.
you
Yes.
did.
Is that all right, officer? All right.
Let's just,
I just worry about, with my schedule, and I've got a lot going on. I would love, that's why I hesitated to volunteer. But I would love, and in the event that I can't make it, I'm sure I would still be welcomed. But that's all I worry about is my.
Absolutely, on all accounts.
so Mr. Hilliard, do you have a desire to join the subcommittee?
I don't, just because of my schedule, but if
Fair.
we are down, I will gladly step to the front of the line and be willing to assist.
All right. Mr. Kennedy?
Question's probably more for David on this. So just
Okay.
thinking through this, since I'm a non-voting member, the subcommittee is working on updating the ethics policy. It's creating the rules and the structure and the framework for it. I'm not participating in any complaints or voting on anything that has to do with complaints that come in from the public. So I'm kind of the mindset that I would think a non-voting member could be on that subcommittee with no problem because in another aspect too, I mean, I'm in HR, internal for Knox County. I'd be a great resource. I'm happy to help. So just thinking through it logically, I don't know if that's logically and legally is a little different, so.
You will never hear me quoted saying that. All I can do is say I'll check. I don't see any impediment to your being on the committee itself. The question is whether you can vote on it. I mean, my general experience with subcommittees is they don't take a whole lot of votes. And Madam Chair, if I may, just as long as I have the floor here for a second, let me be clear that, this committee is going to come with recommendations, and the recommendations are going to go to the commission. When I hear changing the ethics policy, that creates all kinds of issues that are going to have to be addressed, and we can have a discussion at some point about what the ethics policies are in Knox County, why they are what they are, how they got developed under the law, and the degree to which this entity or the county wants to change those. I mean, I think you're in just the suggestions phase right now, but I want to make that clear that, we're not just wholeheartedly, this entity can't legally change the policies and maybe shouldn't.
Yeah, and let me restate to you, anything that the subcommittee decides still has to come back to the committee for a vote. And everything we do is only a suggestion or a recommendation. We're taking that suggestion or recommendation back to commission and saying, after careful review, this is what we as a committee have seen and understood, and this is what we recommend. And at that point, it's up to the county commission to accept or reject what we suggest. Yes, sir.
And with that, all of it will be run by the law department. And as we, not only as a finality or a suggestion to the commission, but as we move along. And that is to educate us as to why is there a may here instead of a shall? And I know I'm being picky, but a lot of that is going to come down to that. And a lot of that has to do with annotated Tennessee law that some of us, most of us, I would say in the room, probably aren't familiar with. So we'll also be leaning on the law department quite a bit throughout this whole process.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because, if we suggest, well, people that wear red shouldn't have a vote on the color red in the county, I know that's ridiculous, I'm just trying to make that, that's not legal, that's stupid, like, we don't want to waste our time, and so there's going to be things a lot more serious that still, under the guise of the current law and things are, it may sound great to us, but at the end of the day, it's just going to be impossible for the commission to implement even if they want to, because that's just not legal. So we greatly appreciate the law department guiding us.
I would like everybody that's and I'd like a recommendation from the law department. I would like to get everybody on the subcommittee to have the ability to vote on the subcommittee. And would love a law department directive on that, because it is different than the full ethics committee board.
I'd be glad to give you that. I can't give it to you as we're sitting here, but I'll be glad to get back to the Ethics Committee on that. The only thing I could suggest in the meantime is if you're going to appoint your subcommittee today, appoint an odd number of people who have voting privilege here, and appoint an even number of non-voting members or something, so that you wind up with an odd number either way.
Wonderful.
So far we have Mike Biddle as the chair, Byron Crystal, and Marcus is non-voting. I would like to ask, Catherine has already stated her term is falling off, so she won't be available. Mr. Rusty, do you have an interest in joining the subcommittee?
I have an interest, but I have no time left.
Understood.
I'm involved in 3 different companies, and I would be a non-voting voting member.
Understood.
I'd be a non-president.
Mr. Stinnett?
Yeah, I mean, I'll consider it, yeah.
Okay.
Is Mr. Stennett a voting member of the?
He's a non-voting member.
Non-voting.
Okay.
Okay.
And Mr. Rawls, do you have an interest in participating?
I don't have the time.
Okay, fair. So what I have here, Mike, Byron, Crystal, and I've thrown Steve Goodpaster into it, whether or not he wants to. Is there anyone else that is not here? Carletta. I'm sorry, who? Carletta, okay. Does anyone know if Carletta would have a desire to do it or not?
I mean, we're gonna say she does have a desire.
Okay. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that, well, with Carletta, it makes 6. With Marcus being a non-voting member, that would be 7.
Marcus and Stinnett.
So
Okay.
I have 5 voting and 2 non-voting right now.
Okay.
Which may be our best path. That fulfills the 7, and it ensures that we have an odd number of voting members, even if the non-voting members can't vote.
Okay.
But
Now, do we need to vote on accepting all the other subcommittee members or just the chair?
I would to go ahead and vote on it just to make it official, but I'm hearing, unless I'm missing my count, I think that, I'm not sure whether, you may want to need to go back through your list
Yeah.
and make sure that you and Mr. Biddle agree
So
on.
who all do
who's
you
that.
have, Michael?
I have Mr. Goodpaster, I have Mr. Wood, I have Officer Gibson, and I have Ms. Carletta and myself. That's 5 voting members. And then I have 2 non-voting, and Mr. Kennedy and Mr. Stennett.
Okay. All right, and with that being the list, let's go ahead and vote. All those in favor of those people making up the subcommittee? Oh, wait, first I have to accept a motion.
Make a
Yes.
motion.
Yes, please. Anyone would like to make a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Any second?
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, well, we have formed our subcommittee. So since we're here for the express purpose of the reviewing the ethics policy, I'm going to hand it over to Mr. Biddle.
Thank you, Madam Chairwoman. So I really think some orders of business would be putting forth a couple meetings going forward to make that happen, and for the subcommittee to to join. And I really would like to focus on the nuts and bolts of what the action items are of the subcommittee, get further recommendations. Will someone from the law director's office be able to attend these meetings, sir?
Well, to some extent, it'll depend on when you schedule them, but I imagine if they're scheduled in this building and they are during normal business hours, then yes. If they are, if they're at the Farragut Town Hall on a Saturday, we're going to have to talk about that. But if you are always free to come talk to us one-on-one.
Sure.
And run your questions by us and chat. And, yes, if we can accommodate that, then we will.
Okay. All right. Well, why don't we start with step one is this time, and I'm asking the committee as a whole, is this time work for you all? This seems to be consistent for the ethics committee. I'm talking about first thing in the morning, 8:30. Well, this isn't. I'm a farm boy. Can we do 4:30 in the morning?
I'm up at 4:30.
All right. I like it. Is 8:30 in the morning here at this room, or this building, good for the committee?
I'll rotate, so
You're good.
I just have to.
Everybody? All right. So we're going to start with that. Secondly, I just have one vacation, and I'm getting it out of the way, just because, and I'll shorten it tremendously. No, I won't. But the week of October 13, and then we could just keep going from there. Would the week of October 13 work for everybody? And I'm looking at Wednesday, October 15.
I have a trial that day.
You do?
Yeah.
Well, we'll meet you there. Well, it'll be in this building. Would Thursday the 16th work? And we'll pick a room. Don't worry. I don't want to let the room drive where we meet or not. Let's go with the time first, if that's okay. We look at October 16 at 8:30 a.m. right here in the city county building. Will that work for everybody?
That's what I'm going to ask David.
You'll be out of town?
I'm going to ask him.
All right.
David would like to.
Mr. Biddle, if I may,
Go.
I applaud your efforts here. There are some logistical questions. Typically, my experience with subcommittees revolves around the school board. And I will tell you, those are open meetings as you're contemplating your scheduling. But that usually means doing the same CCTV that we do for our regular meetings.
Okay.
And so you may, just doing it and also public accessibility. So just doing it in a room somewhere might not necessarily
Okay.
meet those requirements. We may
Fair
need
enough.
to schedule, somebody can help you logistically schedule and make sure that we're getting rooms that can accommodate not only the people on the committee,
Okay.
but the people who might want to come watch the committee operate. And if we need the CCTV coverage, that we have the equipment to do that.
I love it. So who do I get with to see what rooms are available?
That lovely lady right there. Check with Rhonda and see what she can get done for us.
Okay.
She's the one that I went to about when to schedule these additional meetings.
Perfect. And how is that I'll wait for the,
I communicated through email, but do you all have any information on that?
it's okay for me to just communicate time and place via email to the team.
It is. I mean, normally we just broadcast that out through the law department or something. But again, where we're building this airplane as it's rolling down the runway here, there are the major deliberative bodies in Knox County, the county commission and the school board specifically, have logistical support built into them. This entity doesn't.
That's correct.
Yeah, so you all, we're going to need to do some coordination here that is not built in right now of who's doing all this, who's your staff support, who's coordinating these rooms, who's doing the communication for among all the people so that you're not violating open meetings law. Typically what we do is, a staff member will send out that communication and pass the agendas and such. And, it's not typically fall on the law department to do all this, but somebody's going to have to do it. And one thing you may need, I don't know exactly how we're going to do it yet, but we may need to take a breath here and say we are going to have meetings, subcommittee meetings, but we may not be able just to say exactly when it's going to be, where it's going to be, and how it's going to be handled. Are you going to take minutes? Well, if you're going to take minutes, you're going to have a conversation with Mr. Beeler's department about their resources, or else you're going to have to report a secretary to the subcommittee and have somebody take minutes internally.
So here's what I'm excited about. I'm excited that we have opportunity here to do good things. That's number one. Number two, Mr. Sanders, I would love for you to come up with anything that we have to be aware of as you're listing them now that we would need to be compliant with and do the right thing. If you could come up with that list in the next couple days, that would help us take it to the next level. Madam Chairwoman, would have to lean on you to help us with who could help us staff-wise and do the right thing and make sure that our communication was done properly to the subcommittee and to the public.
Yeah, and I'm not trying to throw Rhonda under the bus, but as chairperson, because this is my first experience doing something like this, I have communicated with her when I have questions. I don't have questions that often, but if you're communicating through the law department and not really communicating through the committee, then you can't violate the rules. So that would be my first suggestion to you, is in trying to organize these things. But I can send you the email at the end of this. Well, you've got Rhonda's email address, don't you?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay. So I would just encourage you to communicate with Rhonda. Is that okay with you, Rhonda? I hate to put all the burden on you, but
That's fine. If they're still looking at October 16th, I'm not available right now. If I need to be at the
I don't even think we're at that point right now. So I'll need the subcommittee's help, the law department's help. I have a business mentality, and I'm going to need you all to punch me to slow me down to have a government mentality.
no, we want you to keep that business mentality.
It's
Business
not going
works.
to go away. I just need to blend both of them, which, and thank you, Damon. I'm leaning on you, brother.
So let me just say publicly, for all the world to see, that there will be an email exchange regarding scheduling. As soon as we get scheduling, it will be announced per the open meeting. So we are not violating any ethical standards by saying we have to be able to communicate the time and the date and place.
And just for the benefit of the subcommittee and the committee as a whole, I serve on 2 state committees, governor's appointments, so I'm very familiar with sunshine law, and I err on that big time.
Yeah.
So then I asked, why do I bring that up? Because I asked the committee, on the other hand, why didn't you tell me this? How come I heard about this now? It will always, I will not hide anything from you or the public intentionally. I just want to do the proper thing. So always please give benefit of the doubt to myself and other members of the committee, and also to the law department and to the wonderful Miss Rhonda, should you feel like there isn't the right, and ask away, please. I don't want you to pause on that at all. I just want you to know there are things that will come up that you're going to wonder why it happened at this time and took a couple extra days or something.
And I would also like to ask David, it is my understanding in regards to the open meeting and the sunshine law, if we walk out of this room and you all say, man, can you believe what Debbie said in that meeting? That is perfectly fine and ethical, even though no one could ever have a problem with me, right? But the issue becomes, if you start saying, hey, at the next meeting, I'm thinking we should do this, that's when you're in violation, because we can't talk about things that are to come, but we can talk privately about things that have been. Is that correct?
Well, that's an interesting way to put it. I think you are generally correct. I would basically say that don't talk about business that might possibly come before the entity, not just business that is coming before the entity, but might possibly come before the entity. Let's talk about the weather. Let's talk about how the kids or grandkids are. And if we want to say, boy, that law director is an idiot, or deputy law director is an idiot, then fine. But let's not talk about anything substantive.
Thank you for that explanation.
I really want to lean to, if there's anything at all to do with the Ethics Committee, it happens while we're together, period. And then also, as far as talking about anybody, I just want us loving on each other. So there's going to be no idiot talk except that's it. Just love.
All right, so Mr. Biddle, what else would you like to do to get further organized today?
I just put it to the subcommittee. If you have any further questions or anything that needs to be compiled prior to, I think the duties here in the next week or two is, again, Mr. Sanders compiling a list of things we need to comply to and think about. I think asking a wonderful, wonderful person to help out from the staff named Rhonda to help us would be great. And then and then we'll fixate a date, post that, making sure we're doing all the right notifications, proper communication.
So in the meantime, we shall wait on you to
Yes,
give us a
ma'am.
date.
Yes,
And until we get that date, what do you suggest we start going down a road to find, like, what do you, like, I need an A, B, C. Do we look at other committees from different counties, different entities? What do you want us to do?
Right now, in the next week, there would be one thing I'd ask you to focus on prior to getting direction from the law director's office. That's to take our current policies and procedures and take a peek at them and redline them with your questions, with your observations, and be prepared with that step. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Let's start internally with what we have, and then as we get direction from the law director's department, then we can branch out and do all that other cool stuff that we want to do.
Okay.
Does that sound fair? And if anybody else has any other suggestions or questions, I'm wide open. Because I'm like you, I want to go right now, but.
And I would like to point out that the resolution that the county commission has passed, I believe we have to meet as a full committee once a month for 3 months. Did I read that correctly in here? Or was that a request by Commissioner Frazier?
I thought the only was the deadline
Okay.
was the one on 80.
Maybe I'm making it up
Which
then.
was,
I had a dream about it.
well, but it's a good dream. And also parallel to that with the current in ethics policy and procedure, does Mr. Sanders, could I ask Ms. Rhonda to resend that to the subcommittee and to the ethics committee as a whole?
You know, I'm sure we can get it to you. You should have, everybody should have a copy of the codes and the policies.
They're in your notebook.
I agree with that, but would like an electronic.
Yeah.
I would like an electronic copy. And what I want to always make sure as we go through this is, and it is on the website, I want to make sure that thank you, Commissioner, that we have all the same things. So I may be asking for some things that are redundant, but I always want to make sure that Mr. Wood doesn't have one copy that's from I'm making this up, 1993. Officer Gibson has one from 2003, and we're not reading from the same page. So I'm a big fan of, let's get us all on the same page. Parallel with that, ethics, policies and procedures, A, that we've defined what we're looking at, is B, is this resolution from Commissioner Frazier that was unanimously supported by the board? Please review that as well, so then we have our thinking of what we need to do going forward. And I would like to review that right now before we leave, if that's okay, Chairwoman?
Oh, yeah, totally fine with me. You have a copy right there with you?
Yes, we all should have a copy of this in our notes from right here. Thank you, Ms. Rhonda, for putting this together behind our agenda. So just so that we're all aware and the public is aware, you should have in page 3 of your notes, Section 1, the Knox County Commission hereby formally requests that the Knox County Ethics Committee undertake a comprehensive review and provide suggested revisions, if any, of the Knox County Code of Ethics and provide any other related and relevant recommendations to Knox County Commission for consideration. Again, these are purely, as has already been stated, these are purely recommendations and suggestions. We have no authority to make any changes, formal changes at all, to the policies and procedures. And again, this will, as the chairwoman had noted, the subcommittee will go to full committee, and the full committee will then, if passed on any suggested changes, would go to the commission. Is that correct, Mr. Sanders?
Yes.
Great, thank you. Section 2 in your notes here, the Ethics Committee is encouraged to, and these are recommendations by Commissioner Frazier and the full commission body, evaluate the adequacy and clarity of the existing provisions, review best practices from other jurisdictions and applicable state ethics standards, consider public input and recommendations from commissioners and county officials, propose specific amendments, including but not limited to expanding definitions and applications of ethical behavior, enhancing rules related to gifts, political contributions, and campaign financing that could be recognized as a contributing factor in county decision-making, clarifying conflict of interest procedures and disclosure requirements, addressing employment, restrictions, and nepotism involving elected officials, clarifying the process of filing and considering an ethical complaint, implement a 5-year review of ethics policy, establish stronger enforcement and training mechanisms. Number 3 states that the Ethics Committee shall present its findings and recommended revisions to the Knox County Commission within 180 days of adoption of this resolution, or is it soon thereafter as practicable. That's a tough word. All right.
You did well.
Thank you. So, as I see our mission going forward, we will be meeting quite often. We will be coming up with a list of recommendations that we will need to lean on the law department from a county and from a state and also from federal. Any laws that we make sure and suggestions that wouldn't be a violation or that we're properly putting those forward. Not only in idea, but in verbiage within any suggestions that we have. And that's what I see here now. Is there any questions?
I would just like clarification under the current policy from the law director's office. If, we are presented with a complaint and we come, as the ethics committee, come to a consensus, take that consensus to the county commission, there's no guarantees that there's any repercussions under current policy, correct? So I'm just looking, probably getting way ahead of the bus, but if we do come up with, we redo all of these revisions, is there any substance to the repercussions that these revisions would be enforced on once a complaint comes in? I think I'm talking in a circle, but does that question make sense?
Well, I will answer what I think you're trying to ask, and you tell me whether or not I've completed it. You are generally right that this committee has no authority to implement a repercussion. The section that you're referring to is under, I think, Section 9 of the code, and the relevant section says, upon final deliberation, the Ethics Committee may, 1, and I'm paraphrasing here, refer the matter to the Knox County Law Department for a legal opinion and/or recommendation for action. 2, in the case of an official, meaning like the elected official, refer the matter to the county legislative body, which is the county commission, for such action as the county legislative body deems appropriate. 3, in the case of an employee, that is someone who works for someone, refer the matter to the official, their boss, responsible for their supervision of the employee for possible disciplinary action. And this may be the most important one. In a case involving the possible violation of state statutes, refer the matter to the district attorney or take no action, no further action, that is. You may just listen to hear the complaint, decide to take no action, but nowhere do you have any sort of authority to impose discipline on an official or a employee of the county.
Well, I'm aware of that. So my question, let me rephrase it. We would make the recommendation that would go to the law director's office, who would then make an opinion based on our recommendation, correct?
In essence, I mean, so you would refer it to an opinion. To us for an opinion. I don't think that we are bound by your recommendation. It would simply be, if it was a thorny legal issue, you might send it to us for an opinion as to whether there was an offense and what the offense was, and perhaps a recommendation of what to do next. In general, if the person the respondent is the term used in the language of the ethics code, the respondent, the person accused of an ethical lapse, is an employee, they're first and foremost employees of either the county as a whole or they're employees of the specific office holder. And in that case, it's up to that entity to impose discipline or not.
Right.
If the person is an office holder, then the options are even more limited. The county commission can't revoke their office. Basically, you have an option. The county commission can censor, and I guess the county commission holds power of the purse. They can, if they really dislike it, they might be able to do something there. But otherwise, you're basically looking at an ouster lawsuit.
But that would not be initiated by.
No, it's not initiated here.
Right.
That's by the DA's office.
Right.
And honestly, typically in most of those situations, by the time that whole train got running, it'd be another election anyway, and the voters would have their say. So it's fairly complex. This committee does not have authority to make any final determinations, and I very much doubt that any attempt by this committee to give teeth, so to speak, to to try to give itself the power to fire an employee of the county would pass legal muster.
I don't think we're trying, that's not the road I was traveling. What in my little tiny brain is thinking is that we're gonna do all this and we're gonna make sure that the ethics and everything are followed and the rules are aligned with what morals and, but at the end of the day, what is it all? What are we gonna effectively do? We're not, you see what I'm saying?
Let me give you a couple examples. Within that same statute and ordinance, it says that per the committee, on any complaint filed with the county against any of the aforementioned people that Mr. Sanders said, the complaint goes to the law department. They then determine if it has merit and if it's within the rails of the law. And then that, in turn, once the law department finds that there's merit to it, comes before the ethics committee. Our role with that is things that I'd like us to look at. To give you an example, I don't see changing any of that, and we can't. That's not in our purview. What is in our purview, and I'd like to talk to the subcommittee about, and the law director's office is, it says that at least 7 voting members of the committee, of the ethics committee, must be present at every hearing regarding the complaint. It also states that there needs to be a unanimous vote to uphold any complaint and move it forward. Those are the things that I think I'm personally interested in. Do we have leeway on that to change? Look, I have no opinion one way or the other. It's just the things that I'm trying to look through a lens and the ability that we may or may not have to over. Could the unanimous question mark per the law be moved to a majority vote? Could it? Those are the questions that I would like us to talk about and not make a decision today, sir, but those are the kind of things that I think hopefully we have some responsibility and ability to make suggestions and changes if we see fit. Does that make sense?
It does make sense.
All right.
I would like to suggest one thing on that topic. As we look through our review of our ethics rules, we don't have the power to change anything, but we have a lot of power as far as recommending, hey, these are the things that the citizens of Knox County have consistently complained about. These are the consistent issues that we're seeing pop up time and time again. Therefore, it's our recommendation to alter the ethics rules to state this. And then it's on the people that were elected by the county to determine whether or not they are going to receive that and adopt it. So it does fall back on the county commission as to whether or not they're going to receive the recommendation to change or not. So as we all look through it, whether we're on the committee or not, I think one thing to consider is this going to help the citizens of Knox County? Because our county is by the people and for the people. And if there are things happening within our government that is making people unhappy, and it doesn't really pass the sniff test up for us, well, this may be legal, but it sure doesn't seem ethical, then include it in your recommendations. To me, it would be better to recommend more than to recommend less, and put it to the commission, and they're the ones that are responsible for whether or not we're going to adopt it or we're not going to adopt it. And that way, that's where I think we can really serve a good purpose in the county, is to try and help reduce some of the conflict that's been ongoing.
100% agree with everything you said. And I really want for clarity for our elected officials and those that work for the county. Because it's unfair. It's unfair if there's not clarity in specific instances. And I think we have the opportunity to, in some instances in the ethics policies and procedures, recommend some more clarity for folks. Because I truly believe that people show up and generally want to do the right thing. And I want them to do the right thing and go to a policy that they can have, they can go to that's easy to read, it's clear and defined. And I think there's, having read through some of the policy, I think there's some opportunity for us to make some suggestions along those lines.
Okay, gotcha.
So one thing I forgot to turn myself off. We do have availability on October 8th for a specially called session for that once-a-month meeting. I don't know if that's the time that you all would like to meet as the subcommittee instead. I know you said you've got a vacation coming up in October.
Yeah. Madam Chairwoman, unfortunately, it's the 13th is the first that I could participate.
And October 8th, I'm pretty sure I will be attending a medical conference in Texas, so I don't even know if I can be here. So if we want to move forward with holding a regular ethics session or a special called ethics session, we can still do that. I will just need the vice chair to be present in my place, and I apologize for that. I have to go where they're kicking me off ILAD. So our next regular session is November 12th, and that is our regular scheduled session. So what I would suggest is, if you all still want to meet October 8th, then we can talk about it as a full committee. Or if it's okay, we can just say, okay, we're going to skip that meeting because there are too many people that can't be here. But we definitely will be here November 12th. And what I would suggest is that the subcommittee have some preliminary stuff done to present to us during that regular committee. How do you feel about that?
We are only going to be restrained by the things we've talked about today. So I don't think we're going to have an issue with people wanting to move forward. I just, again, would ask, and for us to remember, we need the law department to help us and help us turn things around rather quickly so that we can move forward.
Okay. We also have December 10th available for a specially called that we could use for the subcommittee if you would like. Is that too far in the future?
No, my calendar is free after the 13th, and I will make it so, Madam Chairwoman. I just wanted to pause per Mr. Sanders' recommendation that we have to get all our ducks in a row prior to setting up meetings. But don't make those go away. Keep those in the bag there for us, okay?
All right. We will keep those dates held. How do you all feel about meeting back as a full committee on October 8th? Is that something you all want to do? I feel like it would be better to wait and let you guys get some stuff going and then meet back, but we can do whatever you all prefer.
I agree. I think that we need to wait.
Okay. So let's put it to a vote. That way we're following Robert's Rule of Order. Any motion to not meet back on October 8th? Anyone want to make a motion?
So moved.
Okay, any second?
Second.
So all those in favor of not meeting back on October 8th, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, so we will cancel the specially called full Ethics Committee on October 8th. We will defer to the subcommittee to meet between now and November 12th to work on the reorganization of the ethics rules or the recommendations, whatever we want to call it, a comprehensive review, because that's exactly what it says. And then November 12th, we will meet for our regularly scheduled meeting in hopes of kind of seeing what the status is of where we are. And then we'll keep December 10th open. If we feel like as a subcommittee we're not moving forward, then I may request that we all come in on December 10th, but we'll kind of play it by ear and determine that at the November meeting. Does that sound okay with everyone?
Wonderful.
Okay. Any other discussions we want to make, or does everyone feel like we've said everything we need to say pending dates? Yes, Mr. Kennedy.
Just to share information with everybody, you go to knoxcounty.org/ethics, you're gonna be able to find everything that you need on there. You can download the policy, the complaint form, all of those things. There's also the training video that every team member of Knox County is required to watch, so you guys can watch it as well. That way you can see it.
Thank you very much for stating that. So everything in there is up to date? Okay, thank you. Any questions about that? Okay, so to recap, we've formed our subcommittee. Our subcommittee is going to get with the law department to determine times to meet. It will be open to the public. We do ask that we not discuss anything privately. It be in spirit of the Sunshine Law and the open committee. And then we will meet back for our regular scheduled full Ethics Committee on November 12th to discuss the status. Is there anything else anyone would like to discuss? All right, with no further discussion, if anyone would like to make a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Any second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any noes? All right, we are officially adjourned. I get to use a gavel.